All right, let's make sure you guys can hear me. Looks like you should be able to. All right, we'll get going here in a minute. We're gonna do some more security labs. I think people enjoy security. I think people thinks it's the bee's knees and all that good stuff. All right, the wife's book club got moved to tonight, so I got a little extra time to stream tonight. So I'll do that before she gets home, so then I can hang out with her later. But let's also turn this music down just a little bit. Uh, that's okay. We'll go with this. Trying to get my sound right. Yeah, it sounds fine. All right. Yeah, it looks like you guys can hear me over on the YouTube side. I should be fine. I mean, I'm talking right into my mic. I wasn't talking for a minute there. But, yeah, you guys should be able to hear me, I think. Desktop audio is pretty low, so you guys shouldn't have any problem hearing me over the music. Okay. So, we're kind of continuing this stuff that I've been doing the last few times that I've been on, where I just kind of went through labs and then I was filling information out as I kind of went. And I've done a few security labs so far, and the next one we're going to do will be building a chroot jail, and we'll ask ourselves, what's the purpose of that? Like, why do we build a chroot jail, and what does that have as far as implications go to the system and all that good stuff? So we'll do that. We'll also check out Ranger. Ranger's got his new bed, but his new bed is like super tiny, and I'm not super happy with that because I ordered an XL, double XL in fact, the biggest one they had, and it's not even as big as any of his other beds. So me and the wife just put it on top of the other bed, and then now he's got just the two beds still, but they're over in the corner. So we'll check on Ranger. He was actually on when I started the stream. He wasn't on when we went to go look at him there. So, all right. Oh wait, is he back? Nope. That's good. And then the other thing is we've got events coming up in Discord. You guys can, if you're in Discord, you can go up to the top left, and you can see that we got a Linux sysadmin course coming up again. We're going to restart that in the March, right at the end of the March timeframe. So that gives you guys a little time to regroup and think about if you want to try to finish it. It's a 16-week course. It is, I'm not going to say it's challenging. I'm just going to say we started out with over 200 people saying they were going to do it, and we only had like 8 people finish it. So you can take that however you kind of want, whether or not that's hard or complex or a lot of work or whatever. I don't think it was overly complex. It was just a lot of work for a lot of people. Then the other thing was we were talking in the networking topics section the other day about these red books. And I really do think that like the red books by IBM are the bare minimum. Like if you tell me, Scott, I can't stomach a single bit of, I can't stomach a single more second of networking, but I still want to be a systems person. Fair enough. I think this is the minimum you need right here. Like I think this would be like a good, probably like I think it's the first 80 pages of this or so are a really good networking primer. If you were like, Scott, I'm not going to do anything else. But I think it was the first, it would really be the first 170 pages of this, because all of this stuff is important. All of that. So anyways, that's up there. Those are free. Oh, look, Ranger's walking around. He's, I'm pretty sure he's got some kind of doggy dementia because he like wanders the house kind of weird. Looks like he's doing it right now. Oh, Ranger, what are we going to do with you? I think he's just getting old. All right, anyways, so we will do some more labs and talk through stuff and think about what's going on. And I was going to I'll put together one of the threads on there because I was going to start doing threads for people that want to do those first 170 pages. Like I was going to block it up into individual chunks for people to work through. So I'll start doing that probably tonight. And other than that, yeah, we're just hanging out. Yeah, Ranger's pretty lovable. I think Ranger's pretty good. Ugh, sorry guys, I'm yawning. I thought he was gonna go back to his beds. He's got a little pillow with that bed too, but it doesn't stay up there very well. So if I buy anything again, it won't be off of some advertisement off of like social media. I'll only get him stuff off of like, we'll go to like PetSmart and find it and make sure how big something is before I buy it, I guess. All right, anyways, let's do some binding in CH Root Jail. If anybody wants this, here you go. Twitch side, YouTube side, and I'll drop the lab link right here. And the first question will be, what the heck is a CH Root Jail? Like, what is a CH Root Jail? Why do we care? Why are we going to do anything with it? Also, fun fact, if any of you guys are working with DESA Stigs, all the new Stigs came out on like the 28th. So, what is today, the 3rd? So, I went to go push in some Stigs for a project that we're on, and they pushed them back today from this weekend and said, oh, can we get to the newest ones? So, well, they don't ask. They say, give us the newest ones. And if you go to like the Stig document library, right, and you look up REL, so you come here and you look up like REL. The REL ones, this is the SCC tool. Why is it not showing up as... Hold on. Here it is. Anyways, here's your Red Hat Enterprise Stigs from the 28th of January. So these just popped. Yeah, what the heck is a CH Root Jail? Yeah, what is that? Right? So what's going to happen in a CH Root Jail? Let's go ahead and pop out of here. Ranger's back on his bed. He's on his other bed. Let's go over here and, yeah, let's look at this process of jailing. And it says your team is planning on building a Bastion system. That's a system that's going to allow users to come in. You've read that the first part of properly bastioning systems is to jail or lock users down, letting them come in and only go doing things that we want them to be able to do. So you've decided to build a jail and test functionality. So here's our task. Build a jail at var chroot. Yeah, using the heck from now on. Yeah. Add basic framework to a jail so that you can populate it with functionality. And then change your root to var chroot to see what functionality you have. You can lock yourself in your own jail. You could be like Job Bluth, if anybody remembers this, and you can go and lock yourself in your little, the Aztec tomb or whatever he bought. Me and the wife have been rewatching that show. Anybody know who Job Bluth is? Or Michael Bluth, or what they call the one kid, George Michael? Oh, is Arrested Development boomer culture? Actually, that's really funny. So let's do the tasks, and then we'll look at what it is. So what the heck is a CH Root Jail? It is a root environment that does not start at / of the file system. It starts lower. For example, var chroot in our example, and that is treated as / for the processes jailed inside of it. Now, we can think of this different ways, and I'm sure you guys can go find all kinds of other cool in fact, I think in some of our labs and stuff, I tell you to go read some blog posts on it and see what like the technical terms that kind of come out of it is. But that's what functionally happens, right? That's what's happening when you jail a process or a user. If you have either an Apple or I've got a little Samsung here, right? Like any of your Google Android, all of your processes are jailed away from each other. So every process in your phone thinks it's got its own environment with nothing else in it. All of the processes are jailed by default. That's the way a lot of this stuff is being built nowadays, right? So, hey, Colchis, how's it going? Z-Love, all you guys identify as Boomer. So it's funny. I'm the oldest of the millennials. If people care about those, like if people care about like Gen Z and millennial and all that stuff, I'm the oldest of the millennials. I was born. In fact, my older brother, who is my Irish twin, is considered Gen Z, and then I'm Gen Z. Yeah, is that the one before me? Yeah, and then I'm the oldest of the millennials. Although I think that's as silly as caring about the stars when you were born. But that being said, I at least know where I fall in that. That being said, I also turned 22 in a war zone as an infantryman, so you could have thought of me as a boomer since I was 22 years old. I've been telling people to get off my lawn for as long as I can remember. Millennials born in No, millennials are born in 81 and after. I don't know what the other ones are, but millennials 81 and after. Yeah. Yeah, those are like Zoomers and Gen Y or whatever. But no. I was born in 81, so that was that. All right, so what the heck is a CH root jail? It's this environment, right? So we're gonna make the directory. We got to make a directory for it to work. That's where Groot's uncle is. He's been a bad plan. Okay, so we're gonna go make in that directory. So if we were to cd to var ch root, and we're to look around like this was gonna be somebody's new prison cell, there's nothing in there. So we're gonna give them some stuff in the jails. If we're gonna be in the business of jailing processes, and we're going to be in the business of jailing users, or whatever we're doing. We're jailing a process which the user is going to be in. We have to give them water. We have to give them a toilet. We have to give them a bed to lay down in. If we're not going to do those three things and maybe give them a blanket, we're really just in the business of burying people. Like, I mean, if you think about it, like, it's not going to work. Nothing's going to work for your process. Well, nothing's going to work for a person that you did that to either. You have to give them at least those 3 or 4 things, right? So we're going to make some things in here for them to be able to use. So what did we do right there? If you guys have never seen this, we make dir-p, which is going to make any parent directory that was needed. So if we had skipped this would have still worked. And then it's going to do a wildcard expansion. So it's going to say var chroot bin, var chroot lib64, var chroot dev, etc home, and user bin, and then lib64, lib x8664 GNU, right? So it's making all of these things. Yeah. So if we cd to lib64, yeah, we've got all of these things going on in there. And then this one also has this in there. But we haven't populated it with everything. All we've done is like basically define what's going to be in the jail. We haven't put anything in that jail yet, right? We haven't given the anything to that. So we can do an ls-l in there, and var chroot shows those directories. Good. Now, the executable that we're going to give the jail, the jailed process, is going to be at least bash. So we're going to copy in user bin bash, and then we're going to throw it in var chroot bin bash. Because remember, var chroot is going to become the root directory of any process. It's not going to be able to see anything higher than this prefix. It's going to see this as the root of its file system, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, I actually turned 18 in 99, yeah, and then I went in the army I joined the army at 17, so, yep. All right, so if we give bin bash, if we put bin bash in the root, in the chroot jail, and then we just try to chroot, so we become, we're going to go lock ourselves in there. We can't do anything in there because bin bash failed to run command bin bash. No such file or directory. It's all bad in there. It's not going to work for us. So there's a reason that didn't work though, and that's this. It's that we don't need to exit because it's failed to run already. For us to do that, we need to add all the libraries. These are the libraries that the system's going to use right here to be able to run Bash. Bash needs those libraries to operate, right? So we're going to copy in all of those packages. Now we get an error on the first one, but that's fine. That one's not really necessary. But all the other ones saved, right? And what we did was we looped over it and we just copied that into var chroot package, which would be the full path to wherever it is. So if we were to in here look here, or if we were to look in lib, whoops, we would see all the files from right here that we needed. So the libx8664's got in there, and the lib64 is in there as well. And now if we were to chroot, it would work. However, we wouldn't really have much. So if I do like ls and I do like pwd, I see that I'm in the root, and I could probably get away with echoing shell, and I could probably echo $$ and see that I'm in this 237. But if I do like a df-h, oh shoot, I don't have any of those commands. Hey, Extramina, how are we doing? I'm doing good. I'm just hanging out. The wife, her book club from last week got pushed to this week today, which they don't normally meet on Mondays. And so she just went to that right as I started streaming. And then her and I will probably hang out here in a few hours. We typically hang out for the end of the night, or we hang out all night. But since she's at that, I'm doing this instead. So look, I am jailed. I'm going to exit out of that jail, and I'm going to do an echo $$, and you'll see that now I'm back in my system. I'm no longer down in that root jail. I can do a df-h. I'm in the normal operating system. I'm not a jailed user anymore, or a jailed process, as it were. I was this jailed process, right? So, like, I guess the next question would be, why do we jail things, right? To isolate them from the rest of the OS. Maybe to limit their capabilities. Like, we're going to, here in a second, we're going to give this thing only the permissions we want it to. We gave it bash, but no other powers. Soon we're going to give it an SSH, but for SSH to work, we're going to have to go make some other things. There's some other stuff. There's stuff that you don't even think about when you log into a Linux shell, that when you start to do jailing of processes, you'll start to think about that stuff a lot more. For example, I can SSH to node 01. Oh, I don't. Do I not have that in here? Oh, maybe for this one I didn't do it. No, that doesn't seem right. Oh, maybe I didn't do a different one. Okay, okay. That's fine. That's fine. I thought I had this with node 01. Let's SSH to ourselves then. That's fine. Control plane. We can SSH Ubuntu. And you'll see that we're in 2623, which is different than our 2366. And if I exit, I will go back to 2366. So I'm back in the other shell, right? But hold on a second. So when we go to do SSH, we're going to give SSH to our jail next. And then we're going to be able to jump into our jail and SSH back to ourselves and connect in. But there's going to be a problem with that. For SSH, it's something you've probably never even thought of. Did you guys know that for SSH to work, you need to have devu random? And you say, devu random, what the hell's a devu random? Dev random and devu random should be right here. Here's random, and here is see UV, right? Where are you at? I don't see you random. But here's dev random for sure. If you don't have those, SSH can't run. And I can prove that to you real quick. Watch this. Let's go forward here. We did this part. We went into the jail. Yeah. So we could check our stuff. We can go into the jail, and then we could ping. In here, we can ping no problem. But if we go back into our jail and we ping, it's not going to work. Command's not even found. So we're going to exit back out, and we're going to go to the next part of the lab. And it says we've set up a jail and verified that there's little to no functionality in the jail. We need to make the jail useful for the user. So why do we jail things? We do that. Why do we need to give the libraries, or how do we give? How do we give the libraries to bin bash, right? In the jail. Well, you can copy them over manually, or you can do like we did, and that was we did LDD, so LDD bin bash will show you all of the libraries, right? So LDD bin bash, that's what bash needs to work. This one will error, but this one's not really needed, so it doesn't really matter. These other ones are needed right here. Okay, so hopefully those notes aren't going too low for you guys. All right, so we're working through, and we're going through a lab. The lab is not pinned for you guys, but it's up in the chat if you guys want to go look for it. And now we're gonna correct. We're gonna give a few basic little functionalities. We're gonna give curl, so we can hit Google. We're gonna give SSH, and then we're gonna give some other things, because if you're gonna try to curl to Google, you need to be able to look it up as well. So if you can't do name resolution even to your own host file, you can't do anything, right? Oh yeah, there it is. All right, so copying the link library is needed, and then copy over the right files. So let's do this real quick. So I'm gonna copy over a bunch of files that are good for us to have. They all come out of Etsy. So you're gonna see here. Whoops, where'd that go? It says for file in. Let's clear the screen here real quick. For file in password group nsswitch.conf and hosts. Copy them out of Etsy. So copy Etsy in each name into var chroot Etsy file. Done. So if I ls dash on var chroot Etsy, I should see all of those files newly created, right? So now, check this out. We're going to copy in the binaries. We already did bash, but we're going to put SSH and curl in there as well. And those come from user bin and then the binary name. You could use any value you want here. These could be I's if you wanted. It doesn't matter. It's just what you're counting over, right? And then we're going to go look. Here's LDD for bash, and we're going to do that same thing. We're going to do the copy for SSH. This will copy over everything for SSH, and we'll copy over everything that's needed for curl. Now there is that little error, but again, error doesn't matter. That's just because it's the first one shown. And then now, by the way, if I were to chroot again and go down into that jail, I have curl. I can try to curl 127.0.0.1, and I can also ping 127.0.0.1. Oh no, I didn't have ping. What did I give? I gave SSH and curl, so I don't have ping. But I can curl, and curl doesn't work. But I did copy Etsy host, so I might be able to curl to www.google.com. And apparently I don't have Google. We'll get back out of there. What did I give them? I spelled Google wrong. So none of that worked. And it makes sense to me that that didn't work because here's the thing. I have a bunch of things that I haven't given yet. I haven't given the dev null. I haven't given the dev TTY. I haven't given dev 0 or dev random or dev urandom for that matter. I haven't made any of those down in the jail yet. And like I was saying earlier, you need dev random or your SSH isn't going to connect. It won't even try to, it'll break. So now I can also copy in. I got this one last little thing I need to copy in. This is kind of annoying. But you need to copy all of these NSS files. I'm not sure exactly why. I've never went down and ran those down to what they do. But you definitely need them there. This isn't going to work right. And we're going to go to the next part, and it says we have all the correct pieces in place. Now let's see what happens if we give if we jail a user. We're going to make a user called jailed, and then we're just going to jump down, as in there. Why is Google and host? Because I'm not going to give them full name resolution. Like they're not getting any kind of resolution. I'm just giving them a local host resolution. So they have one host. I'm not setting them up with resolve.conf or anything like that. So they don't have any access out except this one thing that I gave them, right? This isn't a real jail environment. This is a lab environment. I know you're new here, but this is like a lab environment. So it's not a full environment. So, all right. So we're going to create a user, and then we're going to give a user a password. Doesn't really matter what we gave them. We gave them 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to go into the chroot environment, and we're just going to see if we can curl Google. All right, we did get Google, right? So we got the Google page to go through. And that didn't work just a second ago when we didn't have any of those other things that were needed down in the jail, right? So what's going on here? Oh. And then it says, does it work? Why or why not? Can you curl Yahoo? Well, no, we don't have any name resolution, right? I didn't give any ability to do anything else. So let's exit the jail again. And then let's chroot the jail one more time. And now, while we're in there, let's SSH to the user jailed at 127.0.0.1. Now, this user is not actually jailed in any way. We can jail him, but we have not jailed him yet. And we're going to go ahead and go over to there, and his password was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Super secure, I know. And then we can say, like, who am I? I am the jailed user. ID, jailed. Can I ping, actually, can I df-h? Right? Because I'm the normal user again. He's over there. He's not actually jailed yet. And then we're going to exit back out, and we're back in this user, df-h. Can't do anything. Exit, df-h. I've left the jail, and I can do all these things. Now, this right here is not really a full Bastion build. We just did a jail, set it up, and didn't really play anywhere in it. If you guys want to see how an actual jail environment works, this is the people have been drawn on this, but here's our home lab environment for the Prolog. And if you guys connect in, you get jailed in our DMZ P01 Jumpo 1 node. So on this node, if I come in real quick, where's he at? Home lab. And we SSH to streamer, I think it's streamer 1. Is that right? Streamer 1 at 127.0.0.1 for now. And I think that's right. Now it's going to give me options real quick. I'm stuck in a Bastion jailed environment, and in 10 seconds, if I don't make a decision, I get kicked out of this environment. Yep, didn't make a decision. So I'm going to go back in. And now I'm going to try to go to like number 2, which is Rocky 2 node. It's going to send me to Rocky 2. I'm in the node. I can do whatever I want in here. And when I exit out, I don't land back on the Bastion. I actually get thrown all the way out of the system. I got closed out of Rocky. I got closed out of the node that I was in, which was the Bastion host. And then I got dropped back on the node that I originally jumped out of. So for any of you guys that ever get into the Prolog Labs and you jump in and then you see that little Bastion message, you only have 10 seconds because I have that environment jailed. So if we do, we'll just cat etc sh shd config, And here at the bottom is that jailed user. So streamer 1 is jailed in the same way down in var ch root. If you see the var ch root, this is the jailed environment. And in here, he has nothing. He has, if we go to bin, he's got bash, curl, SSH. Those are his 3 things. His actual shell is this. This is his shell. It's just a loop. He's got no other shell. If he tries to connect or get out of there, he gets kicked all the way out. There's nothing going on in this environment for him to gain any traction with. Then he can jump into the lab back here, do whatever he wants on the Rocky nodes, and when he's done, he gets zippered all the way and shot back out of my environment. If I need to cut out all the users on the DMZ at once, I just have to kill them at P01 Jump 01. pkill-u, streamer 1. It'll rip everybody out of the environment. And a bunch of you guys that did the Linux Systems Administration course that we just finished in January. We just finished it on January 19th. That course had you guys jumping in and doing stuff on all of the Rocky 1 through Rocky 19 nodes. In fact, I have that set right now where you guys can only get to Rocky 10. I ripped out the other ones, which took you all the way to Rocky 19, right? SSH-T? No, because even if you get in there, we try it. Let's see what this streamer user can do here. I don't know what would happen. No, if he does that, he gets kicked out. Let's see if I can get in here. I accidentally did 65. Didn't mean to do that. No, it should just... Yeah. No user really has... No, it should drop you all the way. Because you're coming in. By the way, these are the same, this process, if anybody ever needs this right here. If you guys say, oh, I want to see how to build that jail out. I'll show you guys real quick in our stream setup. So if you ever go to my GitHub, which is there, if you guys need my GitHub, it's right there. This is how I set that up inside of the system. It's down here in main. So pull up YouTube. Yeah, there's also YouTube if you guys want that as well. But enable disable users for stream is here. Add, and then this is all those pieces that you just did in that lab. And that. Kempy said, please, which YouTube video shows how to set up Bastion host and Guacamole? You know, Kempy's, I've never done just a straight YouTube on the Bastion setup. I've been asked a few times, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it. But the Bastion stuff, I run through it every now and then. And then Guacamole's a little separate. The Guacamole login for my lab environment is a little bit different. In fact, I don't even think I have it on here. Do I have that on here? Let me see. You come into Apache Guacamole a little bit different in my home lab. This actually connects to the Guacamole server. I need that. I don't know. I'm colorblind, so I can't really tell if that's the same color. Okay, that's good. I just had to go look at it. This is technically coming in that way. But it still goes through the same system. So like prolog.asuscom.com port 3401 will get you to the Apache Guacamole server. The internet on port 22 will get you through the DMZ, but then you need to know the login and all that stuff. And then that takes you back into the the virtualized host in the lab, the course admin lab back here. People have been drawing on this for different stuff, but yeah, Kempis, I have to set that up one of these days. I'll do that one of these days. I just haven't. Let me get some water here. Put some water in my Chick-fil-A cup. Wife got me Chick-fil-A on her way home from work, so I didn't have to go anywhere. I've been working all day on Stigs, doing Stig reports for government customers, which is always fun. Oh, I do need to build. Yeah, Kempies. Hopefully, this stuff's useful to you. The goal of this is to, hopefully make stuff that is useful to you guys. Oh, is that not? Hold on, I gotta move that up a little bit because that's not super readable down there. We do this. I just realized how unreadable that was with that different color back there. So, yeah, I don't like that. We'll do it like that. A little better. A little easier to read. Twisted Seed, how's it going? We are drinking water and working on labs. So, look, we did a lot of stuff in here, and we jailed a user, and we did a lot of stuff with it, but we didn't turn it into a Bastion yet. I still have to build the Bastion side of it where you guys can see. So let me put that. I have so many things in my notes to build, but let me put that in there. I told you guys I'd put a playlist together for this too. Yeah, because this Bastion host stuff, this is the same stuff I build for the federal government. I've been building this stuff for government programs for like almost 20 years now. This same concept of like a Bastion lockdown for a system it hasn't changed, guys. It's the same. It's just as secure now as it was back then. It's a single point of like cutoff. It's kind of like if you guys have ever seen in the movies where you're gonna fight in the courtyard, so then they cut the ropes and the what is it called, the porticles or the porticle? I'm not sure exactly how to say that. Falls, and then you're stuck in the courtyard and you get shot with arrows and stuff. I can think of two movies where they did that. One was the original, not the original, but Robin Hood in the 90s with Kevin Costner. It wasn't the original. There was many before it. But then also the other one was in, if you ever saw Prince Caspian, which is like one of the worst bastardizations of a book I've ever seen in my life. The Narnia Prince Caspian, they get caught in the porticles fall. That's the idea of a Bastion, is this one area of ingress and egress with a system where we can like close it all down. Yeah, well, I can tell you, Kemps, as a start, look at the GitHub. Our GitHub, I mean, GitHub is free in general, right? You can go look at this is how I do my stream setup right there. It's nothing particularly clever. It's just it works. And now that is designed to be run as a playbook out of Ansible through Tower, right, or AWX as it was. But that is how you would do that if you guys want to. And then I will make it a point to do the new one of the. I need to make the next one of these, which is this is building the chroot jail, and then I have to actually jail the user, which is pretty simple little addition to that. So we'll put that in there as something to do in the future. But let me grab this, and let's go do another lab. So we'll do a new lab, Lab 6, and this has just kind of been like a continuing series. Let's go see what we're gonna do for Lab 6. It's gonna be bright for a second. All right, we're gonna do some firewall stuff. So if you guys want to do the firewall stuff with me, here's the lab. The lab on the YouTube side and on the Twitch side. The Killer Coda labs are completely free, guys. I don't get anything for them. I don't charge you anything. I can't charge you anything for them, even if I wanted to. They're just free labs out there. I think, and some of you guys have heard me say this, but I think Killer Coda is the best free site on the web for like learning. Because look, think about this. If I wanted to show you that jail stuff, and I was going to try to get all of you guys in the same environment as me, doing that in VirtualBox and all this other stuff, that would be a nightmare. And like all this firewall stuff I'm about to show you, it's the uncomplicated firewall. It's down in Ubuntu. it would be a nightmare to get you guys all in the same version of Linux and the same whatever. We could all just jump in the same shell right now, and it's brilliant. Now, do you need to eventually go back and learn how to install Linux and understand how it deploys and your different options and that? Sure, yeah, you need to know that when you want to go, become an engineer in it. But to do the administration and understand how a command line works, the barrier of entry is gone. You don't even have to know how to set up Oracle VirtualBox on your home machine or Windows Subsystem for Linux. You don't even need to do that. You just get in a shell like this. So, I don't know. I think this is like one of the best free things on the web. Really, I do. Not just because they let me host like 60 free labs. All the free labs that I've made and Fishermen have made, they're out there for you guys to do. You can do whatever you want in them. All right. So anyways, your team is determined they need to run a firewall on all the hosts to protect them from the inevitable compromises of your system. Okay. What could cause this to happen? Maybe your team has decided, hey, we need to mature a little bit as an organization. We've been hearing about the zero trust and everything just shouldn't be open. So we'll go ahead and lock down all these other ports and at least be forward thinking in our security. And you say, okay, good, fair. But another reason is your GRC team, your governance, risk, and compliance team, could come down and say, hey, all these servers out here that are in our PCI environment, even the ones that are not consuming PCI data, which is your payment card industry, your credit card data, even the ones that are not in there doing processing, they have to adhere to this standard. And you go, oh, shoot, this sucks. Now I got to, so now I've got to think about that. Well, so the point is, your team's determined they need to run a firewall, and that can come from these different areas. So why might we run a host-based firewall? General security posture improvement, or GRC, governance, risk, compliance, recommendation. Now, the GRC team, the governance, risk, and compliance team, they represent the interests of your organization against what most people call like an RMF, which is like a risk management framework. Your risk management framework is what's the appetite of the organization for the possibility of like a vulnerability to exist, or like to run something that is insecure. What's our appetite for that? If our appetite for that is zero, meaning we never want to have a problem with it, then none of the things that GRC says to you are ever going to be a recommendation. They are 100% going to be technical debt, and they're going to be work that your company has to do. But that's going to be expensive for your organization, right? So security is going to slow you down from doing other things. And, this is one of these things where the organization has to decide what's the most important thing. A lot of risk management frameworks feed into what we call a BIA, which is a business impact analysis, and then a BCP, which is a business continuity plan. Those are all part of your disaster recovery efforts, right? And these are terms that you need to know if you go take some of your security tests. I know Robodom knows them from taking a Security Plus and stuff, right? But the goal of your system is only capable of exposing the ports that you have documented and agreed upon with your security team. That's fair. This system right here, this control plane node, and then SSH node 01, these nodes can be connected to on TCP or UDP from port 1 to port 65536, right? Or 535. Those are all the ports. That's a lot of ports. Now, the only ones that are listening are right here. SSNTULP. Those are the only ports that are listening. You'll see a little better on your screen. I got my screen big so you guys can read, but some of that stuff isn't easy to see. So we're going to check the status of the uncomplicated firewall, see if it's there. We're going to turn it on and enable it, and then we're going to verify that it's working. So we'll SSH over to node 01. We've already done that. If you need to, just SSH over there. And we'll check to see if the uncomplicated firewall is on. So checking that UFW is there. Well, that would be UFW status. It could be systemctl status UFW. You could also do something like this. Just see if uncomplicated firewall is there. This also brings up an interesting thing. What is the version of the UFW that we're running? Why is it so important? We talk about this in other times when we're kind of hanging out, but what's the reason that you care about the version of a thing? Like, how does security report vulnerabilities to you? How does security look up vulnerabilities? Your team that's vulnerability hunting and looking for things in your organization, how are they finding those compared to like the CVEs that exist out in the world? Yeah, CVEs. And how are all CVEs reported in all the world? CVEs are always reported based on version number of a software package, all 100% of the time. You can't find a single one that's not tied to a version and before of some software ever. You can't do it. There's none, right? So risk management, a crazy deep subject. Glad I don't have to do it. Yeah, Chris, I talk a little bit about risk management for you guys sometimes, but for the most part, yeah. I mean, unless you want to go deep into project management and security side of things, we don't do that around here so much unless people kind of want to go into it. Because default settings are related to version as well as patch. Yeah, all the things you could want to know about what's going on with the system are tied back to the version 100%. Yep. I mean, if this version of firewall gets stuck when you turn on the 30th connection of a web, like you're allowing web on port 80, and it always sticks through this firewall after the 30th connection, I guarantee whoever found that bug would have it tied to whichever version of the firewall it was, right? So these are the things that we want to know. Version number alone is good for automated security. Oh, fair. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be... we're not going to spend a lot of time as like sysadmins and systems engineers auditing this stuff ourselves. A lot of times our security team is going to have some kind of tool that does that. There's Nessus scanners, which is from Tenable. There's what's the one? Oh shoot, this is the one that I use the most. Qualys. Qualys is probably the one I've used the most for that, right? But anyway, so we go look and then we say, what's the current state? Is it turned on? Let's enable it now. So we'll turn it on. And it says it may disrupt existing SSH connections. Are you sure you want to do that? And we'll say yes. That's fine. It's active and enable. And then we're going to allow SSH. And then we're going to go check. And we're going to see that it's on. And then hold on real quick. We're going to exit here. And we're going to reconnect over to it to make sure that we still have a connection to it. Right? So the question will be here. We got this warning, right? So checking, you have to activate the UFW. We'll say activating the UFW. How did that look? That was simply, what did we do? UFW enable, like that, right? And then we got this warning. Why didn't the warning affect us when it said that port, that open ports, let's say right here, when it said when it said that SSH connections might be affected. Why didn't the warning affect us when it said that SSH might be affected? Does anybody know that? This is one, we talked about this one before. Real quick. We said allow, I think it's disable. Is that right? No, it's no, we don't want to disable it. We allowed, so we deny. Real quick. We're going to deny OpenSSH, and it's there. Hold on, you see this right here? But if I go to a new one, and I'm back on control plane again, on this new connection, and now I SSH to node 01, I don't get in. Why is that? Wait, port 22 is blocked, but I'm still connected to port 22 right here. By the way, I'm going to re-enable this, or I'm going to re-allow this before I disconnect. Did you guys know, watch, immediately in. Did you know that it doesn't affect the port that's already connected? That's an important behavior, guys. You might think, go hit the button and close the firewall because we're under attack. There's connections in already, but you didn't realize the behavior of shutting down SSH did not block the ones that were already connected. It's very important. So now what you need to do is go kill all SSH connections and let real valid users reconnect. But see, I proved that behavior to myself right there. But if I hadn't proved that behavior, but this is the thing, you would only learn this by testing it. You would only learn this stuff by going and practicing and probably locking yourself out of a box a few times, right? In our environment here, I would have to reset the lab because I don't have access. In my home lab, and by the way, this is the way I think you should always do it professionally. If I'm going to do something to a node, I will always have a console connection. So this is an out-of-channel, or what you might call an out-of-band connection back to any of my nodes. So if I go break cRouter and I can't SSH into it anymore, I can go physically get to it right here. This is a different connection into the console of the box, right? That's true. Yeah, stopping SSH doesn't kill the SSH sessions that are already there. In fact, I've had to prove that before at work where we had a lot of sessions coming in. And I was like, yeah, this is fine for us to change this setting. But until we filter through all of those users, and some users had like really long running jobs. But here's the thing. It was safe for us to kill those users because the jump boxes that they came in on submitted jobs that were no hup into, well, all Slurm jobs are no hupped anyways, but they go off in and run. So even if we kill the users, they can just reconnect back in at their leisure and see their stuff. Yeah, pull the Ethernet. Yeah. Can you force a disconnect? Well, this is how I would force a disconnect. I would say psef grep-issh, and I would find all the SSH processes, and I would kill them all. This is how I would kill all the processes. Let's make sure we've allowed that. Let's make sure that we can see it. We see that we're allowed in. This is how I would kill all the SSH connections to this box, right? Watch. So if you guys have never seen me do this before, this is a fun one. I do this sometimes, and you might say, Scott, that seems a little redundant. Well, because sometimes I need to kill everything, but not everything from a user. So like sometimes people will be, well, you could just done pkill-u and killed the user. Yeah, but I don't always need to kill a whole user. Sometimes I just need to kill all the SSH. So I need to slice a different way. So the way I'm going to slice this one is going to look like this. So this is going to get all of the SSH connections, but it's going to miss the grep. So watch, when I do this, I see all the SSH connections. Everything with SSH is right here. Then I'm going to do this. awk print $2. Some of you guys have seen me do this before. This will give me all of the systems. Yeah, it's a little regex trick because what it does is it won't find itself, but it will find all the versions of SSH. Yeah, a little regex trick. Now we're going to do xargs, kill -9, and this will put all of them on a line, and it'll kill all the SSH connections. So that just killed SSH to that box, all the SSH connections. And we should see that this was just restarted. Yeah, this got restarted because it wants to be running. So it's not, so this right here is just a little trick. I'll link it to you guys that want it. It's just a little trick that, I picked up to, if I need to kill all the Slurm instances on a box, I can grab just that thing. No, awk is not, but this is regex right here. That's a little regex trick. It'll only find the first one. It's fair. Yeah. The crash systems, when you said to set it down, yeah, we'll take 2 strokes off of Jerry's golf games when we take all the strokes off of Jerry's golf game as we kill him. If anybody knows that reference. That reference is the same as this one. Wait, oh, hold on, where is it? Hold on, gotta turn off studio mode. That reference. I can answer that for money. Oh, I love that reference. That is so funny to me. Anybody know what that is? I can answer that for money. All right. Um, why didn't the warning affect us when it said SH? Because uh, current connections were not affected. Only new ones. Now, this is one of these things I constantly ask you guys about when we talk about like sysadmin stuff. Why is that important to know? Why is it important to know that like something that's established is or isn't going to be affected? Well, I want to know that because what if somebody just stays connected? We set up a cool security system that disconnects users after 30 minutes of inactivity, and that's our security policy. But somebody's got some connection that's been on for 6 months. Nobody's ever rebooted this node, and it's just that connection's there. Connection's not beholden to anything in that Etsy SSHD, that new one, because it's an old connection. Bad practice nowadays to be up for that long anyways, but let's just say that's one of these things where we have to have a policy by which we deal with those kind of things. Robodom, I do think that's probably their best episode. My favorite one though, no. My favorite one is probably from the first season, and is probably, I don't know. I do really like the second one with the dogs taking over. No, I don't know, Robodom. I've probably watched through Rick and Morty more than 10 times. But I've also been like, and not to be one of those guys, I've also been watching it since it first came out. So like I watched it as it came out. So it was like I had season 1, and then I had to wait for season 2, and then season 2 came out, and then we had to wait a long time for season 3, and then I don't even think they were ready for 5. Oh, I don't know if I'd say it's better than Futurama. I do love Futurama too. They're good in their own ways. They each have their own. There's good quotes from all of them. I used to have a couple of these that were also like before I jumped off of Streamlabs and came over to this. I used to have a few of these. I had a few different ones of these. I haven't watched any of the new season of Futurama. I kind of feel, I don't know what to feel about that. Oh, this is jumping me around, isn't it? I didn't realize that was jumping me to different windows. Never mind all that crap. Podman stuff. That was in the home lab. That was stuff we were doing on that. Oh, new Rick and Morty. I thought the last 2 seasons were terrible, but that could just be me. All right, so let's check this out. Let's go over here. And it says, so far you've enabled UFW and verified that you can see the open ports and are allowed to be connected on your host. So let's set up a web server, like an Apache 2 server on node 01. Super easy to do, right? Just install Apache 2 and then turn it on. That's actually, I think it's turned on by default. We'll just go check. We'll verify that it's up. I thought Futurama ended really well, and I wish they would have just left it on that ending, but I haven't watched any of the new Futurama. I did like the drama around it, though. I thought that was really funny that they asked all the old voice actors to come back, and they said yeah, and then the guy who had been doing voice acting the whole time, forget his name, but he was the guy that played Bender. He's like, no, I'm not going back for that same thing, and then they had to pay everybody more because of him, and I thought that was great. So we can see that Apache's up, and then we can see that it's listening, so that's cool. But now if we exit out and we try to curl it, we can't get through because nobody's allowed. Like, this is, by the way, one of the things when you installed Apache and saw that port 80 was open, why couldn't you connect from the remote control plane server? Like, why didn't that work? Like, I've set it all up. I've verified it was listening right here, and then I went to the other node and I couldn't get to it. Why is that? Why can't I get through? I know some of you know, but I'm just saying, I'm saying this to kind of make people think about it. But Well, you can't get through if just because the web is open does not mean that the firewall's open. So I think of it like this. Not there. I got a drawing where I showed this one time. Hold on. That's not it. Hold on, I got a drawing where we did this one time. Was it this one? This is that's an old deploy of the home lab. Shoot, guys, I don't remember where anything is anymore. Was it this one? Yeah, this one. So what the idea is, and this was talking specifically here about a golden image, was this. Just because you open a port up and your system is listening to it, the firewall is this extra level of kind of like a protection. It's like an extra level. Backyard Me, you said which lab am I in? I'll link it. Hold on. It's 205 of our labs. So here's the lab if anybody's missing it. Sometimes I like pin it, but I haven't been pinning labs lately because I don't think as many people do them. Killa, do I have any network device in my lab? I'm just curious. Sorry for being so late. Yeah, well, so Killa, I have I don't have any like managed network devices. However, I do VLAN some of my environment, but I do that inside of the XCP-ng node. So these nodes have managed switches inside of them, for lack of a better term, and then those are on a VLAN for like the LAN internal, so they can't talk outside. So none of these devices here can talk out. Look at their networking. They're on lab internal. They cannot talk out to the world unless they go through cRouter to get out. No, I don't have any switches or routers. If I need to do anything with switches and routers, I do it virtually. Or I do it, I mean, I work on real switches and routers for work all the time. In fact, I have a big project in a couple of days where I have to jump a bunch of nodes to VLAN 10 because you can't be on VLAN 1 in a government system. So I have a set of nodes that I have to... I could explain the process, but basically what it looks like is it's a ready, fire, aim, right? No, I'm just kidding. It's ready, aim, fire. And what it is you start the furthest away from the place that you've jumped in on, and you do a show run and you pull everything down, you put it in a notepad. I do it in Notepad++ right here. You change all the values you want, and you jump to all the VLANs, right? So you go from like VLAN 1 to VLAN 20, let's say. So all your system is set up correctly. Maybe you have somebody looking over your shoulder. Hey, is this good? Yeah, good. And then what you do is you apply it all at once in one command. So you take the whole copy and you paste it all the way in a buffer, and it goes. And you'll lose connection to that device. And actually until you connect to the other devices and get them back on as well. But then when you're done, all your devices will be up. So yeah, I have to do that sometimes. When I do that, I like to have hands in the data center. And sometimes in a SCIF, it's hard to have hands in the data center. So my boss will be in the data center the next 3 days. He'll be out in the data center that we're working out of in Ohio. So since he's doing that, I'm going to do it on Wednesday. I have about 20 nodes that I have to go hit like that. And I'll be doing all of their configs and making sure everything's good. Servers, I work mostly with Dell servers. My company does a lot of contract work under Dell. But those switches are... Those are 9700 series. QM9700 series, which are NVIDIA, but they're really Dell under the hood. So they're Dell switches branded NVIDIA. And then, like, you could go download the user manuals for all these things, right? Like, if you were like, oh, hey, that's interesting. I want to go download one of those and play with them. They look like... Let me see if I can just grab... I actually have the user manuals. I don't know why. Where are they at? Hold on. It's just like one of these, right? Watch. And I have this in, like, I give training. So I do training to the government sites too. So then when I'm talking about these switches, I have images of the switches in my training. And then also if I'm on site when I do the training, which I almost always am, I also take the guys in the data center, I show them how to connect to their switches too. Because there's at least 2 ways, sometimes 3 ways to connect these switches. You've got an old RJ45 on the flat, you know, the console cable. You can do that. And then that can connect into, I don't even have an example of it because I left one the last time I was in the data center. But they're like the flat cables. I order them on, I can get them on Amazon. Hold on. Let me pull up my Amazon. I'll show you guys what I mean. I don't want to show you guys my home address or nothing. So give me 1 second real quick. I'll show you guys the little things that they're super. You can go get them for nothing online. Yeah, they're like one of these right here. Right? And they're USB to RJ45. Yeah, they're nothing. I order a couple of these every time I go out, and then I just leave them on site if they don't have them. This is one way to get in. Then, guys, this is wild. You can use the old USB-C. Remember the old, not even USB-C, sorry, micro USB? Remember the micro USB that were a little wider and a little smaller at the top? Those can actually go right into the front of them as well. So you can do those over serial as well. And then this is another reason. I know people make fun of me all the time. They're like, "Oh, Scott, I don't know why you use putty for everything." Guys, I use putty for everything because watch, I can go like this. Once I connect those, there's 2 things you have to do. You go to serial connections. I'm going to show you guys this, but this is kind of far afield. You go to your device manager. If you guys have never seen this before, let me show you this. When you connect to a switch, you will see over here in your USBs. And by the way, I've never connected this in a SCIF. I have this other laptop over here that's like a little ThinkPad. And what'll happen is you'll go to your USB connections. Where are they at? Typically up here more. Mine are down here. And what you'll get is you'll get a COM port. So like COM 5. And you'll come over here to COM 5 and you'll say 115.200. It used to be 9600 baud. We used to connect to everything 9600 baud. But you'll do this at 115,200. I know, it's a fun number to remember. And then I will connect to any device directly right off of my machine here. That's if I'm directly in front of it, like in a data center or whatever. But there's a tremendous amount of cool ways to connect to stuff. Also, the Dell devices that are like that, you have a direct connection from USB right over your network as well. So you can go, it's 169.254.0.4 internally, and then you connect to it. Dude, guys, there's some really cool like connection stuff that's like, you're just looking at it going, man, like there's more and more connections. And then when you do that, you can boot and get console right on like it's almost like you're in an ILOM, like an integrated lights out manager, or some people would call it like an IPMI, IP management interface or whatever. But I've gotten a lot of crap over the years for putty, but putty just works, man. I can hit all my routers and switches and gateway devices, because this is the other wild thing about these effing things. I was explaining this because I was doing some stigs on these the other day. These bad boys right here, these 9700 series. Hold on, where were we at? These ones right here. Let me see if I can find their PDF. Here's their PDF right here. All right, so these guys, hold on. These freaking guys are not, when we go look at these are not your layer 2 and layer 3 switches that I grew up with, right? Like I've been doing networking for, with college included, 25 years now, right? Got my CCNA in 2002. Hold on. The way that these devices work, let me show you as we get into here. So toolless rail kit, how you connect. Here's some of the stuff I was just talking. Well, it's almost this is still just hanging in the rack. That, by the way, give you nice little scars all over your knuckles, right? And anybody that's worked in a data center knows what I'm talking about. Those racks used to be designed to pinch your fingers. If I ever met a son, like if I was ever like out there hanging out and somebody in some like just somewhere, if you ever hear about me punching somebody, this is what they said to me. They were like, "Oh yeah, I used to design racks for Sun." I would just punch them in the mouth, because I'm telling you right now, their racks were designed to pinch your fingers. But anyways, let's keep going here. Get myself in trouble. I meant in game. In game, whatever game we're playing, right? Yeah, here, look, here's your baud settings. So you need to know those. It used to be 9600 for everything back in the day, right? But anyways, I want to see if they have it here. Hold on. Connection setup. No, they're already on the setup stuff. They didn't even show. That's how you connect. That's how I had to gut one of these the other day to put another one in. It was actually pretty funny. Oh man, I used to cut myself. Oh, I was putting a tape drive in a few years back, so I would have been like late 30s. I was in my late 30s, and I'm a pretty strong guy. You know, I got last time I was under a bench, I was like I was like 3 reps of 400, right? So I'm under like an 80-pound like thing, and I'm trying to get it in there, and I have it on. We have a rack lift, and I'm trying to slide it over, and I catch my hands and my phone rings. And I thought I was going to drop that damn thing on myself. But anyways, yeah. And you say, well, what buddy lift, right? Yeah, I had the little switch lift. Like I have the thing that can lift 1,000 pounds. If you guys ever seen them, they look like little forklifts, and you can like put them around. Oh yeah, I like jam my hand real good. I was cussing when I saw it. Was my boss Don that called me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm like cussing at Don. Anyways, no, he's a good guy though. But where's our? Hold on. This is like a smaller version of it. This isn't a full deployed guide. This is just like a quick install. Yeah, two person lift, guys. They're heavy. 121 pounds. These ones aren't that bad. This one's not. The box itself might be. Anyways, I don't even know where I was going with all that. Look, Ranger's not on his normal big bed. He's on his little bed. I forget where I was going with all that stuff, guys. Anyways, data center work for the birds, but it's good money. Yeah, it's good. Still good money to work in a data center. Don't like I don't mind flying out. I typically have to fly out every, I don't know, maybe once every 3 months. I got to fly out somewhere. Like I've been to Austin recently. I've been to Hawaii recently, and I've been to Ohio recently for some of these different projects that I'm on. I was in Ohio in that blizzard a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Damn, I almost killed it. It was the beginning of the year. Yeah, so it was like 3-4 weeks ago. Almost killed myself in that damn blizzard. It was no good. Anyways, so we go back to Node 01. We look at the app list, and we have these different apps, and we can look at each one. And we need to open port 80. So here's the Apache is port 80. Both full is 80 and 443. And then secure is only 443. So we've got 3 options, right? Yeah, NVIDIA switch architectures just... Yeah, they run stuff. I was really surprised. Like a few days ago, when everybody was like selling stuff off, and there was like this whole big drop, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. People still need NVIDIA equipment. I don't know why people are doing that. Anyways, let's go, because opening a port doesn't change the configuration of a firewall. This is a security consideration and can keep your engineers from accidentally opening ports that they shouldn't. Right? So this is an important thing to think about if you've never thought about it. You know, we are protecting ourselves by putting that firewall in front of everything else, right? So just because somebody opened port 80 right here, I rightfully opened port 80 on this box. I changed this box by putting that web server on there. But the firewall didn't care, guys. The firewall blocked it still. So this is from a golden image drawing. I'm just talking about the ports. Remember, you got 0 to 65, 534. 5 can't be used. You can't hit that last one. And TCP or UDP. So you double that number of ports vulnerable, right? So why not just have the firewall? And then if we're going to allow 22 in, we'll allow it in. And then we will lock down and harden that process so that process behaves the way that we want. These are the things that we do. I tell you guys all the time, if you want to be on the internet, if you want to have that availability, then you have to also understand what you're changing and what you're giving up and that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, Big Dog. They definitely are not. Yeah. By the way, the other part about it too, and this is an interesting thing for me working in the industry, NVIDIA also bought Mellanox a few years back. I think right around 2020 they bought Mellanox, maybe a little earlier. So they run all of the GPU chips, and then they also control all of the networking. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know why people were worried that they were going to get knocked off. They run everything. So let's allow Apache, and then let's go look at our lists again. There's all the applications that we know about. Let's go up a few more to where we were looking at status verbose. Now here's all the things that we're allowing in. TCP for Apache and TCP for Apache version 6. So if somebody's coming in on port on IPv6 as well. So ss-into-ulp grep dash what was the one I was using the other day? 80? Yeah, grep on word boundary for 80. No, it's not B, it's W? Yeah, there you go. Because now it'll be word boundary of 80, and it'll only be 80. It won't show these other things. There you go. Yeah. Anyways, so we come over here, and then now if we leave that node and we just curl over there, we should see that there's an Apache 2 server being served, and we're able to connect. And alternatively, we can always do NC node 01 on port 80 and just validate that we were able to connect over there. -VZ is just kind of a nice little way. RoboDom, no. NVIDIA does way more than just GPU. In fact, NVIDIA's coming out with a chip that they're working on with Dell. It's already been announced, so I'm not announcing anything that people don't know, but it's called the I always forget the damn code name for it. It's like a woman's name. Somebody here might know. Somebody probably knows. I don't remember right off. But I'm supposed to be building a cluster with it here in the next few months. That is going to be debuting very high on the top 500 list. So Cheryl's a good guess, but no, that's not Cheryl. All right, so how did we? So this might be. How did we verify? How do we verify that we could remotely connect? What did we do? We did curl node 01 on 80. It would have defaulted to 80 anyways, but that's fine. We did timeout, and then 3 of curl node 01, and then we grepped for just Apache. We just wanted that one line, right? We just wanted to see if it was up. And then we had an NC netcat-VZ on node 01 on port 80 as well. And if you had telnet, you could telnet over there. Big Doggy, are there any other comparable high-speed networking companies? You can do, not for the switch architecture, man. InfiniBand's just the best there is. I don't know. Maybe Nokia. Maybe I have to imagine and I only know this because I've done like kind of bigger carrier level networking in some of my early college days. I have to imagine Lucent has something, but if Lucent does, I haven't seen it ever. But if you guys don't know, Lucent does like all of the world's backbones for like the high speed like world link type stuff. I wonder if Nokia might have some stuff too. But I'll tell you, like just high speed switch type stuff, InfiniBand's been kind of the king. I mean, could you throw just a generic SAN switch in there and do like some fiber channel over Ethernet and get some pretty good speeds? Probably. But one of the reasons NVIDIA with InfiniBand is so good is it has RDMA, so it can bypass kernel processes and go right to the memory. So it's like really, really fast. So yeah. For inside the DC and for what I do, which is high-speed parallel file systems where everybody can read and write at the same time. Yeah, in NVIDIA and then there's some competition in that space. Like Lustre is pretty big, even though that's an OpenSFS project. GPFS is pretty big, and then there's one that's kind of like up and coming. It's called Weka, and that's one that I've been building on the last few, and it is effing fast. So I sometimes show you guys this Weka stuff from Dell. you guys, I mean, if you're interested in this kind of stuff and you want to know more about it, this is like valuable stuff to know about because yeah, Weka is not. No, it's not cheap. This is like I only get to play with this because my corporation and the government customers that I work with do it. But Weka's so fast. What Weka does, real quick, if you just have a bunch of nodes in there, right? A bunch of nodes connected on a high-speed network. What Weka does is each of those nodes stands up a container, and then that container is responsible for the movement of the data, and that container locks four of your and it opens hundreds of ports between these nodes, and it locks four of your CPUs. So we'll have big boxes that'll have like 256 CPUs, maybe 512 CPUs in them, and we're always using the first one for the OS in general, and then we use the next four now typically for Weka, and then all the rest get allocated to Slurm for job scheduling, right? So we kind of do that stuff, but it's super fast stuff, super fast like backend stuff. Why do you even use Ethernet? Use Ethernet for all your configuration stuff. Use Ethernet still to push your. You can do like we have 10 gig Ethernet links, and even in like a 1200 node system, 10 gig Ethernet is fast enough to push your images on boot to like stateless nodes and stuff. You don't have to do it over your backplane, and then you've got like your EDR links are at least typically like a quad EDR will be 50, 50, 50, and 50 gigs. So each of your nodes will be getting four 50 gig links. So each of your nodes are getting 200 gigabits per second up into the cluster. But then you have, that's only EDR, enhanced data rate. Then they have HDR. HDR is older. FDR is much older. I think EDR is the current one. Ethernet compatibility. Here's the fun thing. Over InfiniBand, we still connect with Ethernet. And the reason we do, what I mean, back up a second. It's InfiniBand, it's not Ethernet, rather. It's we still use the IP layer. So we still use networking. And the reason we still use IP is even though you can do all of the communications without IP addresses, you can still control devices out of channel from your Ethernet. So if your Ethernet were to go down, you can still get a device over InfiniBand if you know how to connect. And that's pretty slick. It's basically like having a second channel out in this big ocean that you can go connect to nodes with if you ever need to like really get a hold of them. And you just can't any other way. Although we typically have like 2 or 3 other ways to get into them as well from like the command line and the console and stuff. So yeah, there's interesting stuff going on. Dolph Flamingo. Yeah, this is on YouTube. Yeah, we're just hanging out. We're not working super hard, but we are doing labs and stuff. And also, it doesn't look like I've missed anything, but if I have missed anybody signing up or following or anything, I apologize, but hopefully this stuff's pretty good. Omnipath, that's the other one. Yeah, I don't think I've ever played with Omnipath. I've done Fiber Channel over Ethernet, which I guess probably is called Omnipath at some point too. But I don't know all the technologies. I mean, it's been like over the years, I don't even know where all these places have gone in my head, you know. Probably forgotten more about this stuff than I should. Hardware is one of those things, man. Hardware can kind of change fast. It's weird. Hardware, like it's like hardware changes fast and slow. And what I mean by that is like the systems that you have will never change. So that changes slow. But then the new systems that are coming out and being deployed are always changing. Like I'm building right now. This is weird, but I'm building like about 8 systems a year with I have this little core team at work that we're building all these systems, and we've gone through a whole bunch of. So there's this tool called Bright, and Bright is a cluster manager. A lot of colleges use it and stuff like that. It's really good for like your Play-Doh My First cluster. Bright is great for that. Like if you had a bunch of research scientists but no Linux guys, you can do Bright without ever doing a bit of Linux. It's pretty cool, right? You can set up a whole cluster without doing any Linux or Unix or any of that stuff. But then when people want to like get more like power and more like they're like, well, we want to change the way that this behaves and we want to change the way that this behaves, then a lot of times that's where my company has come in recently, and we've been rebuilding Werewolf for customers. So Werewolf, the same tool that I use in my home lab, with like Rocky Linux, and then we can do all of the other pieces over the top. So if you guys want me to draw that out one day, I can. Darsh Spending said, are there any good GitHub repos to learn advanced Ansible? I don't know. I guess Darsh Spending, I would say, I can't even recommend mine because I just do basic Ansible. I just do basic stuff well, I guess. And then that tends to be useful for me. Yeah, my Spark rack from 93 to 2016. Yeah. I used to run Sparks at Lockheed back in the day. But Darsh Spending, I wish I had a good good place to tell you. I can tell you where to learn basic Ansible. That's for me. I have a whole bunch of labs on basic stuff, and I guess some of my basic stuff looks complex eventually, but I've always as an engineer done basic stuff well, and that's always looked good for customers and the government and people that I work with and all that stuff. If anybody wants the home labs, here's the labs, or sorry, not the home labs. There's the labs on Prolog, and then you would just go into our, for anybody that wants that. There you go. And I'll link it over here for you guys. Jeff Geerling's probably one of the best ones out there. Yeah. I actually got to meet him at one of the Ansible Fests back in maybe 2018. I think it was the one in Austin. Maybe that was 2019. I think 2018 we were in Boston for the Red Hat Fest, or the Red Hat Summit, and then I think in 2019 we went to Austin for Ansible Fest, and that's where I met Jeff. Yeah, he was doing a whole bunch of Raspberry Pi stuff at the time, so that was kind of funny. So, other than IPv6, some nice features like max MTU across links performance is more or less the same after initial connect. Yeah. All right, where were we at here? Oh, so we did all this stuff. This was pretty straightforward, right? Like this lab, I just made you do some basic stuff, turn it on, see some of the behaviors of it. We wrote up a little bit more about it, and then we'll go do some of these other labs that are kind of fun as well. So we'll be up to lab 7. Now we've been doing these labs the last few days, so don't worry, you didn't miss a whole bunch. I think we started on 5, so let's be lab 7 today. The other labs, the stuff for them is all up in Discord, so if you guys go to our Discord, you can go hang out. Greetings from Salvador. Bauer, a good stream for you guys. Yeah, hopefully this stuff's useful to you, right? These are the original ones. We started out with, attempted user logins and then sudo stuff, and I showed you guys how to go connect, and then we updated a golden image, and then we did some stuff with Ansible yesterday, and then today we've been doing the chroot jail and then the firewall, and then now we're going to go run some STIG reports. So we're going to do some basic STIG reporting if you've never done this. And I think that, we'll do our syslog first, in fact, actually. So I'm going to link this here, and then I'll link this over to you guys on YouTube and for you guys over on Twitch. So if anybody wants to go hang out and do this with me, Killer Code is free, guys. Doesn't cost you nothing. It's one of the best things on the web, I think. Like, seriously, it's just really good stuff. And this lab that we're doing here comes from a few months ago. I had to do our syslog in a cluster. I actually had to do it again the other day. And the question came up when we were doing this. Look. Why our syslog when there are other tools like Promtail to Loki, right? Like I've shown you guys how to set up Promtail to Loki. So why our syslog? Like why? Maybe there is a government requirement. Maybe security calls for this one tool. Like there's a bunch of reasons. Like maybe the team that you're turning this over, maybe the customer that you're setting this up for, this new tool, they say in the RFC or whatever, they say, hey, we understand there's these newer tools. We take that under advisement. We still would like you to set up our syslog so that our older admins that are very comfortable with it can keep working on it. So please set that up, and then we'll look into those other things as we have time in the future. that could be something the customer says. I've never heard that specific thing, but this first part about there being a government requirement, there is a government STIG requirement to use our syslog. Now you can get around that as you can with all STIGs by documenting it, but I just want you to know, yeah, and our syslog works. Yeah. If you set up a system to catch logging, and all your systems just throw logs at it, and by the way, I've seen this on nodes or on clusters of 1,260 nodes. One node sitting there just chilling, catching all the logs, writing them to its back end. That is very little work for your node. That node may have some space you have to consider, but then it's not that big. I just got called old. Hope you have a good old package conflicts. Yeah. So that's pretty good. Well, I also set up our system. I wrote the lab because I had to go figure this out. But also this is that system that I'm talking about. Then we would have Splunk. We were taking Splunk and then sending it off to like corporate Splunk because then, as with all government systems, you do like a centralized syslog, and then that syslog still has to go up to some system that's going to chew it all up and parse it and do whatever kind of, people have AI and all this other stuff running against it. In our home lab, we have Wuza or Wazoo or whatever. I need to go set that up a little bit to get some of our logging into it because I think that would be interesting to play with. And we set that up a few weeks back. I just haven't done much with it. Hold on, let's go check on Ranger real quick. Nobody's done a Ranger check in a while. He's not in his bed. Where is he? Guys, we got his new bed. Robodon, if you're still around, we got Ranger's new bed. And even though I bought a double XL, that's what we got. It's like a tiny little it fits on top of his other bed. Yeah, I don't know where Ranger is. He was on camera earlier, and he got a little pillow with it, but it's disappointingly small. So any beds I buy for him in the future, I'll buy directly from PetSmart, where I can go in and look at them. But this thing was double XL, and it's smaller than either of his other two beds, and I was very disappointed. Yeah, I'm not super happy with it because Ranger's a pretty good sized dog, so he basically fits over this whole thing. But he's definitely comfy with it. All right, so let's do this lab real quick. So your team has determined that they need to centralize logging in the environment. This is a security technical implementation guideline. So the government or whatever project, guys, you are going to run into so many different standards in your career that I tell you all the time, do not try to memorize a standard. Learn how to configure for the standard. Oh, speaking of that, I have to write I'll do it on stream here. But I need to write something. I won't do it tonight, but maybe like tomorrow night. I need to write a new STIG process for deploying and fixing STIGs in a RHEL 8 environment because one of the customers that we're doing some work for is using RHEL 8 instead of the newer we've been using Rocky 9.3 on a lot of stuff, and they want to use RHEL 8.10 for stability and some other reasons. And customers are going to do things. Your developers are going to do things. You're going to have internal customers, external customers. You're going to have all kinds of things as an engineer. One of the nice things about the engineering side of things is it's very straightforward, discrete answers, right? Anyways, all right, I'll stop talking about that stuff for government systems. But in your case, it's just good practice, and your team has been losing remediation time by not being able to see logs on the system until after the systems are back up. This is something you guys will hear me hammer all the time. One of the worst things that can happen to you as a systems admin or somebody who's trying to troubleshoot a problem of any type is having to wait until the system comes back to be able to read the logs on it. Well, because if you think about it, if we don't even know why the system went down, maliciously or non-maliciously, should we be bringing it back up in our production system, or should we be moving it off and quarantining it? Well, if we're quarantining it, now I got to wait even longer to get at the logs. Also, if we're not sending logs off in real time, somebody can be deleting the logs when they're done with stuff. However, if we're sending logs off in real time, even if somebody gets on our box and then compromises it, we at least have that record. Just like if I walk up to your house and then I see the Ring camera and then I pull out my spray paint and spray paint your Ring camera, you still got those first 10 seconds of me walking up. And that might be enough to be like, oh, I can find that guy, right? If that kind of makes sense. It's the same kind of concept. I at least know the IP address that connected. I at least know how they compromised the system from whatever logging was happening. Maybe they brute forced it. Maybe they whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is. But the point is I have that before you finally delete it and shut it all off, right? So where I'm going with that is it's a good practice to get logs off of systems. It just is. when a system crashes, you want to know why, right? Uh, I'm saying this in general, not because of anything that's happened recently in the U.S., but a system goes down, you need to get the black box off of it. The black box is like the airplane, but it would be even better to send that stuff off in real time. I'm sure they send a lot of telemetry data off in real time, but then you also need that last little bit, right? But even then, when you look at that, it takes however long to recover that. You don't want to be waiting, right? All right, so anyways, your management has been coming around talking about MTTRs and MTTDs. You don't know what any of that means, but you want to get the logs to a central place to help make it better for management, so they leave you alone, right? Is broadcast multicast syslog a thing for redundancy? Big Dog, you can send, I believe you can send syslog to more than one place. I would always unicast it to more than one if I could. I don't know that I would ever broadcast it. But no, I've never seen that. I've never seen that happen like that. I have seen logs sent to two locations for redundancy, though. There's another way to do that too. There's this different architecture that we could talk about where we send all logs to Kafka first, and then Kafka becomes our system bus that's always up. But that's like a little bit different. Yeah, you can send different configs. I've never set that up for our syslog, but I'm pretty sure you could. Here, let's look at this, and then we'll go. We only have 2 nodes in the lab, unfortunately, so we can't really play with it. But we're going to do these things. We're going to verify that our syslog is configured and installed. We're going to configure it to capture on UDP port 514, and then verify that our syslog is listening. And then I'm going to ask a question over here. Why is it important to know that our syslog is running on port 514? Hint, in light, of the I literally just bit my tongue for no reason. In light of the last lab. Why might we care that it's on a certain port? Or proxy it through something? That's fair too. So configure our syslog on node 01 to collect logs, or to send logs over, and then verify that the logs are sending data. So we're going to set this up a little bit to send information over. And then I believe we're actually going to carve it up a little more, because I've seen this done both ways. And so I showed you guys the first way that I've seen it done, and then I changed it over to the other way. So let's do the lab here. Verify that it's running. I see that it's there. So we see it's there. We see that it's got a certain version number. Again, you want to keep track of versions numbers. You might not go throw this in a notepad and look at it every morning and stuff like that on all your systems. But it is a good idea to keep track of what your systems are and when things have been updated. That's the thing I like to know in my environment. I think I told you guys, I never have compilers on production systems. That's a non-negotiable for me. If I'm running, if I'm operations lead, which I'm always the tech lead. Everywhere I've been for the last 12 years now, I've been the tech lead for whatever Linux or Unix team I've been on. And even my when I was doing red teaming for AAA, I was still I was the tech lead as well over there. But the reason I bring this up is this. When I do, I might not have this just in a notepad, but one thing that I for sure do want to know is if this gets updated outside of my patching cycle. And then I was saying this earlier, this is a non-negotiable. In my prod environment, I never have compilers. And you say, you pull compilers off? Yes. No, you can't go just quick pick, hot patch something in prod in my environments. That's a non-negotiable for me. And you say, well, why not? Because I support hundreds of dev teams. I can't just be having dev teams running around pow, 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 pow like it's the wild, wild west. It's because, by the way, when it doesn't work in 6 weeks after we do an update, they're going to come to me and say, why doesn't your stuff work anymore? And I'm going to be like, because you were hot patching it during the fucking off cycles and adding stuff and changing stuff. Yeah, it's chaos, Robodom. Yeah, it's what we call too many cooks. I had a buddy, one of my buddies. He's sometimes around, Faint Calf. He'll be on Twitch sometimes, and then he's down on our Discord. He's one of our mods. But he would walk around when I used to work with him, and he would like, you know, some system would be down or whatever, and he'd be humming, and he'd be like, "What are you humming?" And he's over there, and then he starts singing it, and you're like, "Oh, you son of a!" And he'd be singing too many cooks in the kitchen. That's what he'd do, and you're like, "You son of a!" Use system repository on a platform so updates are applied in a controlled manner that way. Yeah, Crash Systems. I definitely control what the repositories are pointed to always. Like I do lifecycle management with Satellite and stuff, but in lieu of that, and trust me, if you have compilers and people have access to compilers, they will compile stuff on your systems, and you don't want that in prod. So I'm kind of what most people would consider like anal retentive about that. I don't let people change stuff. But the reason is because I'm the one that gets tasked with stability. I'm the one who the buck stops with as far as the system uptime, you know. So I don't let other people muck around with that. All right, anyways, is it running? Yes. Is it running on the other node? Also yes. So it's running here, it's running there. Good. So on this box, let's go configure etc rsyslog.conf. Devs are high maintenance. Well, look, I tell people all the time, devs are smart. They're probably smarter than me, right? For the most part, but they're not Linux admins. If they wanted to be Linux admins, they would come over and be Linux admins. If they wanted to be root, they would be root. But they don't want to sign the paper that I do that says that the system's going to stay up. They don't want to sign the little paper that most of us do. If any of you have ever been admins somewhere, they typically have you sign some kind of, you know, I'm going to responsibly use root in this environment. Anyways, let's VIRR syslog, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. And we're going to uncomment these two lines right here. Module load IM UDP and input type IM UDP on port 514. By the way, did anybody answer? Yeah, they don't want to be on call in the middle of the night. Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm still on call. In fact, I'm rotated on call right now for 4 systems. Yeah, responsibly not. I won't do it on purpose anyways. Oh, real quick. Right? It would have to be allowed through the firewall. If you were going to run this and a firewall, you cannot run these without opening up the port for the firewall. Yeah, Z-Love. There's an old saying, if you don't give me downtime, I'll make downtime. I always like that one. All right. Hold on, I got to sneeze. Escape. Oh, man. WQ. Right, quit. Now, I've made that change, but have I done anything to the system yet? No. I actually have to, if I do a ss-ntulp grep for, you don't need the I, 514, is there going to be a 514 listening right now? Oh, thanks for that, Robdom. The bless you, yes. Restart our syslog, and now check for 514, and my system is listening. So, why did, this is a general question I'd like to ask you guys, why did I have to restart the service for UDP listening on port 514 to show up? Why is that? Why did I have to do that? Mr. Poolshot said, question, how often does removing GCC cause a problem? I've had updates required in the past. I've never had it cause a problem for me, Mr. Poolshot, but I guess I have seen that before where, yeah, you need GCC and other tools for your installs. Yeah, I guess I've definitely seen that when I'm doing some of my kernel stuff. You can also disable things other ways. Yeah. I'll make you guys a deal. I'm going to take a break real quick. I'm going to, hold on, turn off camera. I'm going to pull up my hourglass. Little hourglass thing. We haven't done this in a while. And we'll go quick break. On quick break, and you guys can check on the Prolog system. Ranger's not in his bed, and how's all of our systems doing? I'll turn this on like this so we can see if Ranger shows up and we can see if anything else comes up. But we'll take a quick break. Go take a break. I will also take a break. Go grab me some water. It's also, guys, it got to frickin' 84 degrees today in Glendale. Glendale, Arizona got to 84 degrees. That is not good in February. So, all right, I'll be right back. Be right back. Oh, I made one of the cardinal sins of streaming and taking a break. I didn't leave anybody in charge. But Robodom was in charge. Yeah, we're on break real quick. I'm checking on Ranger. How's Ranger doing? And we're just doing Linux labs. Walking through the labs, making sure we understand the things that we talk about. Making sure that we can physically do them, right? Because it's important. Z-Love been getting some very well-crafted PayPal phishing emails. Yeah. I wish I could run. Could I run an ad break right now? I don't know how to. I don't ever do any of that stuff. If I ran an ad break now, would it not? Would it not ad break for a while? Hold on. I don't even think I have the button to run ads up here. Oh. We got a shout out for Practical. Nice. Practical's here. Yeah, I'm on a break real quick, but I came back. And we're working through a lab. The lab is on our syslog, so it's sending syslog messages from all of your nodes back to one node if you wanted to do that. And I've set this up in some clusters lately, so I've made a little lab about it for you guys. Practical, how are you doing? I've been catching your streams. I think you've been running some longer streams, so that's always good. I like hanging out in there. I always feel like I'm contributing if I'm just sitting in somebody's stream because I run turbo, so I basically, anytime I'm in somebody's stream, that's me chilling, and it's the same as somebody having having like a subscription, I think, for the most part. Also, yeah, I'm pretty sure YouTube doesn't have nearly as many ads as Twitch. So if anybody wants to go hang out on YouTube, you're welcome as well. So, but yeah, if you guys don't know, sometimes when I'm watching Practical during the day, I'll link him down in our Discord so you guys can find his stuff. He does a lot of cool stuff. I like hanging out, watching him code. I always joke around about how if I would just sit around and do coding, I would probably already be pretty good at it if I did that. But that's not what I do. I'm more of a systems guy, so I just kind of hang out. Yeah, yeah. Actually, practical. When I came back to my desk right now, because I had walked away to get some water, I was like, did he raid me? Because I know you were on earlier. How's Ranger doing? Ranger is not on his bed. Where's my dog at? My dog is doing something. Um, let's go over here though. I'm gonna wait a second before. I always try to give this full time. You know, for the if I give a break, because I have the same problem with my college students. I'll give a break and then I'll start going again. I'll be like, oh shoot, I forgot I was doing a break. So let me do that. Let me turn my little camera back on. Hold on. You guys can see me again. I don't have my green screen up because I don't care tonight. The wife's gone too, so she won't be back for a little bit. She's at a book club. Um, but yeah, so what's our syslog? It's this architecture where one system can sit there kind of like a little catcher with his little catcher's mitt, and all your systems can throw. You ever seen like people warming up for a baseball game, and all the guys are out there and they're throwing, and then they'll throw into the catcher, and the catcher will catch, from wherever, from any of the outfielders. They'll warm up close, and then they'll throw the long balls in. Well, your catcher catching like that is kind of the idea of our syslog. Everything is sending to it, and it can handle. I mean, I've seen them handle a pretty good amount of connections at a pretty low cost. There's definitely very little CPU and memory cost to like a logger type system. You get a little bit of I/O because you're writing a lot of individual files back, but for the most part, you won't really. I've never seen that really saturated up to 1,200 nodes. If you needed to, you could attach it to like your global parallel file system or something, and then you'd not have that I/O issue because then you'd be going out over the RDMA link and InfiniBand and all that crap. But anyway, so let's look at what we've done so far real quick. We'll clear screen real quick, do a little history, and we'll say, okay, in this lab, we checked to see if we had our syslog on the box. So we can bang 6 if we want, and that'll re-execute 6, if you guys didn't know. And then let's say we wanted to do this SSH right here. We could bang 7, right? It'll do that one. And then let's say that we wanted to do this validation of SS. You can bang SS and it'll do the last SS command. So you have a bunch of different options for how you execute against your history. You can bang any individual line. That's bang is your exclamation mark. You could just mouse over it and Control C, Control V. If you're doing like putty, you can right click if you're in putty. Whatever your fancy is, if you just want to go look at your history and see things. But the point is, we made sure that syslog was on this box. We made sure that it was running, right? So systemctl status r syslog. Boom. All right. By the way, there's our break. Let's check on Ranger. Did Ranger make it back to his bed yet? I'm a little worried about him. Dog's old and senile, man. He's a good guard dog, but he's guarding less and less area as he gets older. So our syslog's working over here, and we've modified this one thing. If we do a more on Etsy rsyslog.conf, we modified this one area right here by pulling off these 2 comments, IMUDP and IMUDP on port 514, and then we restarted the service so it would pick up those changes, right? You always got to restart so that it goes back and reads the config file. And now this system is ready to catch anything that wants to throw. It does not, Mr. Muddy Pants, our syslog being on isn't doing anything in your systems by default. No. It's just on. Not doing anything. Nope. Oh, well, okay. Let me take that back. It is, hold on. It is doing I take that back. Our syslog will where the hell is it? Is it our syslog.d? It will log other things in your system. So our syslog is logging into your messages, or in this server, it's going to be your syslog and your auth.log, right? Those are the 2 in Ubuntu. So it is doing that. But as far as external connections, those are all off by default in most rsyslog systems. So I am telling this system, you're going to be a catcher in this environment. I am assigning it, like if you want to think of it as, I'm assigning it, well, I'm allowing it to listen on port 514 for UDP right here. We could also do TCP if we wanted to, right? But we're going to leave that off. There's some more configuration considerations there if we wanted. But now we're going to go over to node 01, and over there we're going to do his rsyslog, and at the bottom of him we're going to add asterisk dot asterisk anything goes to at control plane. This has to be resolvable. If he can't resolve it, we can't use that. We would have to use an IP address if it wasn't a resolvable hostname, but that is a resolvable hostname on port 514. So anything is going over there. Also, you're going to see that there's this include where etc rsyslog.d anything.conf is included. So we really could have put this in a file down in there if we wanted to be kind of clean like that. And that is the way I deploy this via Ansible. And this is the way that I deploy it via my clusters typically. But in this lab, it was fine to do it down here. And then I just kind of give a nod over to that you could do things in there if you wanted to. Okay, we'll restart our syslog over here. And then if we exit and we tail on control plane, if we sit here for a few minutes, we should see things coming in from control plane, but we also see things coming from node 01 now. Now, real quick, why did I have to restart service? Because config changes are not dynamic in Linux services. And that makes sense, right? Because what if I was editing that file and saving it as I went, and then it was in a busted state and it came back and read a busted file? Now I've taken my service down. That's just not a good policy. Services always get read. You have to restart to go reread your config file. Now check this out. Node 01, control plane. All right, this is good. This is fine. This is fine. But might it be better, real quick, if you think about this, might it be better to not send everything to the same file? What if I had 1,200 nodes in here? By the way, this is how in the old customer that I used to work with, some of you guys, I've never told you guys who that customer was, but it was a big college in the Northwest. They sent all their logs to one server like this, and if you were to ever tail-f this, it would just blow up your screen. It was every system, all 1,200 something nodes, to one system in one file, just like this, to varlog syslog. Well, it was varlog messages because it's rel. There's nothing wrong with this, but there's a different way to do it. Can I show you guys this other way to do it? This is perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable, and if your organization wants to do that and wants to throw it all in, it's one grep away from just working the way you want, because now I don't see all the other ones. I only see node 01 every time it does something, and I'll see it's right over to the config. That's fine, right? That's not that big of a deal, guys. But what if I wanted just every node in the cluster to get its own file? Are you also talking? I'm not talking patching right now, Chidari. Not necessarily. Like I was talking about it a little bit, but I'm not like directly running patching right now. I do need to patch the home lab, so I do need to show that to you guys a little bit. I do like change. No, please do show us. Yeah, so I'm going to show you guys this. This part of the lab. So the next part is, so far you've enabled our syslog collection on control plane and sent the logs to control plane from node 01. Hopefully you guys kind of have a picture of that in your head, that node 01 is sending logs in, control plane's catching them. If I had 100 other nodes and I did that same step that I just did on node 01, they would all be getting caught by control plane right now. If I had a node 01 through 99, all 99 of those nodes would be now sending logs in, and we would be happy. It would be a lot in that file, but all in all, we'd be like, that's pretty good. But now I'm going to show you guys how we could break that up if we want. There's a little bit of templating inside of our syslog. Guys, I claim no great expertise in this. If you tell me like, hey Scott, can I throw a special character in there and this and this, I'm going to be like, I don't know how to do any of that. But I can do this. So watch this. This is a little trick that I picked up. I found this in a blog and I kind of made it my own, right? This is the way we do all systems work. And I'm going to go on control plane. I'm going to go to rsyslog30 remote.conf. And I'm going to add this. I'm going to make a little template in here. And actually, I feel like, yeah, and stop is the correct way. Look at what this is going to do. This is going to do the simplest thing you've ever seen. It's going to say template remote logs is applied. Template remote logs is going to be var logs and then a directory called hostname. So whatever your hostname is, messages.log. So we're going to write anything that gets sent in here down to var log. Your hostname is going to be its own directory, messages.log. And then we're going to say down here, if the host IP that's sending the logs in, so the syslog that we're catching, if the host IP is not this box, apply that remote logs template. So see the then remote logs. So what this is going to do is this is going to become a filter. It's a template, but it's a filter. When your traffic comes in, this box, control plane, is looking at that as, is it 127.0.0.1 or is it not 127.0.0.1? If it's not 127.0.0.1, filter it down through the little coin sorter to its own little host name. Does that make sense? These are variables that come directly from syslog. There's a host name variable. There's a from IP, from host-IP. It's super simple to do. And then this remote logs right here is just the name of the template that's going to be applied if this rule applies to you. That's it. Simplest thing, right? We're going to hit escape :WQ. And now I'm going to restart on this box our syslog. Restart. Okay. And now I'm going to go tail-f node01 messages.log. And now that log that was going in there and sharing my syslog for some reason is now going to be in its own. And let's see, var log. If I had a whole bunch of nodes, they would all be dropped in here, and I could make it even in my lab. I do var log cluster and then each of their names, so now it builds it down in its own little cluster directory. But in this lab, it doesn't really matter. But now node 01, if I just do that command here again, he's gonna just get all of the logs that are coming from node 01. Super simple. Super simple. Could you filter on other things? Can you? The wife's home. I can hear her. I hear her showing up. Her book club must be over. So, could you filter on other things? Are there other things that our syslog is aware of as messages come in? Absolutely, yes. And you can go find them and you can go do stuff with them. But this is the way that you can do that. All right. And then watch, if we, just to verify, we'll tail-f on varlog syslog, and we will only see control plane in here. We'll no longer see node 01 or any other nodes that we had coming in. So then this would become a much more quiet file. Say control plane, control. I don't know what I called it. Control plane, control plane, control. Boom. There you go. Control C. Check. So look at you learning Linux security. You set this all up, and you were able to see data flow from node 01 into control plane for centralized logging. I often tell you guys, like I had an engineer earlier in my career that said, Scott, I only need to be able to do something once. Once I can do it once, I know that it's always going to work going forward, right? So in this case, I can get it to work from one node. I should be... I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I could go send that out with Ansible to all my nodes and restart the service, and everything will be reporting back to this guy. Maybe I got to go fix 1 or 2 out of every 100, but the point is I can do this, right? This is one of these things I only have to see it and kind of hold it in my hand once, and then I go, oh, all right, I could apply that across all the nodes, and that's what we do. That's how we do this stuff, guys. That's how we learn this stuff. Oh, and then remember I said earlier about what was your manager talking about with MTTR and MTTD? What was the manager talking about? That was earlier in the lab, right? I said your manager's always complaining about these things. So what is that? Well, it's the mean time to repair, mean time to detect, mean time between failures. You can't control that, but you can't quantify it, right? As an engineer. So mean time to repair is huge for teams when dealing with like your uptime and your ability to fix things. Where is Ranger? The wife's home, but Ranger's not down there. So, all right. Anyways, and then we had this. Right, that's from the lab. All right, so we'll keep working on these. I'll keep adding these and stuff. I am gonna have to hop off here for a little bit, but because the wife's home. But hopefully these labs kind of, you guys can go through them. There's a little book that goes with them. You can do them without the book. There's just a lot here for you to go and dig in on and see things that are maybe kind of interesting to you, right? Like there's a lot of stuff in here. I'm adding more actually. I have probably like 3 or 4 more to plan that I've planned already to write that are going to fit into these Linux ones. I have a few more Ansible ones to write too. So yeah, hopefully this stuff's useful to you guys. Let's go to our end of stream thing. Over on the YouTube side, I can't raid anywhere for you guys, but I appreciate you guys coming. And we will keep working on stuff like this. You guys are welcome to hang out down in the Discord and talk shop with other engineers and stuff. So let's go raid somebody on the Twitch side. Let's see what's going on, if I got anybody I can raid. We got Midnight Simon. We're going to go raid over to Midnight Simon. So he's doing coding. He's doing all smart stuff. Our message will be, if you want to do a raid message, do all the Linux. And I will see you guys later. Take care.